Well, it's just defending another day of defending the poor and downtrodden, man.
I have another question besides what's going on, Jay.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
If I were any better, I would be Justin Allgaier.
Justin, I think I know where you're going with this one. Mm-hmm. Justin Allgaier.
He had a really good evening yesterday, man.
I missed the end because my boy Chase, and for those who don't know, Jay and I are motorsports fans generally, NASCAR fans specifically. We, during the season, will from time to time diverge away from the law to talk a little racing. And it was the duels last night at Daytona. And I watched, I listened after the show to a little bit of the first race, and I missed a lot of the second race. And apparently, Allgaier's driving for Junior. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His very first Winston Cup car, and they made the show. They didn't have a charter. And so I think there were 9 cars competing for 4 open spots. Mm-hmm. And they made it in.
Well, that's pretty cool. I did see the clip of Junior reacting to it, and they asked the question. I don't begrudge them asking the question, but is it more nerve wracking to drive or to be the owner? And right. I mean, I guess they're just much different things. But yeah, he is so his answer was great. I don't know if you saw it, but he's like, I just love racing, man. I love every bit about it. I love racing. I do too.
Well, we'll see where it goes. There's this odd thing. I can't remember the goomer's name. It was one of these rappers that was bought into Trackhouse Racing, and it's odd. And he's going to sing, I think, at the race Sunday. I can't remember his name. But he said that they're ending their relationship. But on the positive side, and good luck to them in the future. And then he says something like, "Go Dale."
Huh.
Yeah, and so there's wild speculation on the internet that what's happening is Junior is going to buy a piece of Trackhouse Racing.
Oh, and get in on the charter on that front,
and go full-time Cup racing. He's talked about that, for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he has the last name that is royalty in the sport, but that charter system is a very interesting. I mean, do you understand why it's that way? Why it's the way that it is, Jay? Because I don't.
I don't understand it fully, but yes, I absolutely can tell you why it is the way it is, man. One word:
money. Yeah.
It's about money, and it's about money really kind of flowing all the ways. The money in that sport flows in a lot of different directions, and it's really kind of hard to follow all of it. Mm-hmm. But I think what they were really after, the teams were after, was to have value in the teams, rather than just having a bunch of old junk racing equipment around. Well, they got value in the teams now. You know what a charter call you? They can sell their charters. You know what the market rate is?
Well, and before I answer, for those who don't know who are listening, charters are just guaranteed spots.
You get to start every race.
You get okay.
You're guaranteed to be in every race.
And
there's extra prize money that's given out to them.
Okay. I would guess a charter is $20 million.
$35 million.
What?
$35 million.
Just for the charter.
You don't own a wrench.
Yeah, that's not for cars.
The race car.
That's right. Yeah.
That's just for the right to show up and compete.
Otherwise, do you have to have a charter? Or, I mean, I guess you could go.
No. No. Well, so, right now the rule is there's 40 cars to start. And, how many charters are there guaranteed to start? Mm-hmm. And I think right now there's 36 charter teams. So there's 4 open spots. That's what they call them, are open. And so you just show up. And if only 4 cars show up, they're guaranteed to start the race. If 6 open cars show up, then those 6 open cars qualify, and the fastest 4 make the race. The other 2 go home.
Wow.
And that's what happened at Daytona. I think that 4 cars ended up going home at Daytona. But, Matt, in the old days, there'd be 60 cars show up.
Right.
To qualify. Back then, there was 42 spots.
Right.
And so, that if you don't have a charter, you show up, and, not a lot of cars are showing up. And you may be effectively guaranteed a starting spot in every race. But, a couple of races, there may be 6 cars show up for 4 spots.
Well, Jay, and you and I have nerded out over this over the years, and you had you introduced me to Jimmy Means, who was a Huntsville race car driver and one of the last owner-driver independents that drove. He didn't drive at the highest level, drove at Xfinity up until what? I mean, he had to drive.
Well, no, he was a Cup racer. He raced Cup for many years.
Right. I mean, when he became just solely an owner, I guess he was just Xfinity, right?
I don't know. He may have had a Cup car for a while, even somebody else driving his Cup car. But then, he got priced out of that, and he dropped down to Xfinity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a rich man's game, you know. I mean, gone are the days of. I mean, and I know in Tennessee they had a bunch of them too. I mean, Sterling Marlin is one of them. I mean, Darrell Waltrip, for goodness sake,
absolutely
is right here in this backyard. But I just. You know, it's sad to feel that way, that you have to get hooked up with multi-gajillionaires in order to make it to the upper levels. But that's just the reality. That's the reality of a lot of things nowadays, sadly.
No, it is. That's right. Everything's got more expensive. Y'all go try to buy a dozen eggs, man.
Did you see that? There's a meme running around. I mean, you know, all the liberals want to blame Trump, which is silly because most of egg price. I mean, there's some inflationary rates, but most of it's because of the stupid bird flu, and they had to kill multi-millions of egg-laying chickens. But I posted it up where it's go expensive this year, and it's for Valentine's Day, and they got it's like a little jewelry box, and the guy's opening the jewelry box, and it's an egg. It says he went to Kroger. He went to Kroger. Uh-oh. Jay, you there?
Funny.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Jay, we got lots of questions coming in, and obviously I've got one for you.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead. Uh-oh. Quick question regarding a subject that we talked about last week, Jay, and that is some of the lawsuits being filed in court against activities involving DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Specifically, I mean, were you surprised? I don't think you would have been based on your commentary last weekend. I think you prognosticate over these things pretty well, especially when we're talking about employment matters. But the unions had a filing regarding making it. Well, I don't want to misspeak. So the government gave a timeline for people to announce their retirement from government service, right?
Yeah, an early out. They were offering everybody an early out, right?
And the unions objected, and so the judge said that they don't have standing.
Yeah, can you hear me? I know I've got a bad connection.
No, you sound good. You sound good.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the unions came in and said, Judge, this is awful and terrible. It's the end of the world. You need to put this on hold, for a week, 10 days. Okay. And I don't think the DOGE people really minded that, Matt, because people had not been taking it. And so they didn't really bother them that much. And then the judge,
I'll tell you what we'll do. Pull him down.
Right, yeah, you have to have an injury.
And just pull him down, and just maybe we revert to phone, I guess, if that's what we need to do. Sadly, Jay, I'm sorry if you can hear me. We're just having some intermittent cutouts. I don't know if it's a weather-related deal or what. Sometimes the interweb is a wonderful thing, and sometimes the interweb is not a wonderful thing. So sorry about that, Jay. I apologize. I know it's frustrating.
No worries. I think it's on my end, so everything's good.
Well, you sound great now. You were just telling us about the filing happened through the unions, right? So, right. And the judge in the case said what?
Yeah, well, the judge said, okay, we'll put it on hold for a little bit, and then the lawyers argued about it a little bit more, and then the government said, well, the unions don't have standing. Right, they have to have an actual injury here. It's not the employees suing; it's the unions. And the judge looks at the unions and said, "Well, how do y'all have a dog in this fight?" And this goes back to what you and I talked about last week, Ben. Guess what they said?
What, we don't?
Well, no. Well, Judge, if all these people quit, we're going to lose union dues.
Follow the green.
They had to tell the truth to stay in court. And the judge said, well, that's not good enough. And so now that part of it is free to open up. But I don't think a lot of people are going to take it. But, overall, here's what I have to say about this overall, man, for 50,000 feet. First of all, I cannot believe the amount of planning that the Trump team did to get ready to go into office. It is incredible. They've been thinking about this for months, man, if not longer. I mean, for example, the DOGE, this new DOGE thing is not new, man. They didn't just create it out of thin air. They grafted it onto an executive agency that was created by Obama.
Right.
It's brilliant because you remember when they rolled out Obamacare and the website crashed and it was just a huge embarrassment. And they said, we got to do something about this. So they created an agency to improve the computer systems throughout all the federal government.
Yep.
And gave the people in that agency access to all the computers in the federal government. Well, some incredibly bright person with the Trump team saw that and said, here, let's just use this. And we'll just put our people in there. And they already, by statute, have authority to access all the computers in the federal government.
So a federal judge indefinitely delayed a ruling on the Labor Department's request to block Elon Musk's team from accessing internal system data. I mean, this is just a long. There's a laundry list of them, but what does that mean to you when the judge says that? He said you will hear from me,
right?
And it's an indefinite. Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah, so here's the way that works, man. When they're going in and they're filing for temporary restraining orders, which is kind of an extraordinary remedy. We go in, we just want things stopped, Judge, for like 2 weeks. Until we could come in here and really make our arguments. And no one's really going to get hurt by that. That's what they're saying. And they've found a number of judges that have said, okay, we can do that. That is of no real consequence, man. What percentage of federal judges around this country do you think would love to sabotage the Trump administration?
Oh, gosh.
And there are some.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't venture a guess. But,
yeah. Well, let's say it's 1%. Mm-hmm. 1%. Do you think it's at least 1%?
Oh, yeah, no question. I would say even as much as 10%. But yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah, well, let's say 10%. There's 1,400 federal judges around the country. So 10% of that would be 140.
Right.
It's just 10% of the judges. Right, that's 90% of the judges, or well, even if it's just 10%, it's 140 judges. Mm-hmm. It's real easy to go out. They know who those 140 judges are.
Right.
So it's easy to get a case in front of that judge. It's just classic judge shopping. They know who the judges are. They know how to get these cases assigned to them. So we're only, let's analogize it to football. We are 4 minutes into the first quarter, man. Mm-hmm. That's all. It's just 4 minutes in the first quarter. It's just the first possession. I mean, Trump had the ball. Trump got the ball first and scored. Went right down the field and scored.
Right.
Okay, well, now the other team's got the ball. Okay, they came down and kicked the field goal. Mm. Trump's still up 7-3, man, and it's 5 minutes into the first quarter. Mm. He has the much better legal argument on most of this stuff. Some of it's going to be a challenge. The birthright citizenship, I think, is going to be the hardest one of those for him to win. But we got to wait and see what happens till all 4 quarters have been played. Here's my prediction for most of them. Have you seen this incredible thing where just outside the Oval Office, where you walk down the hall and you come in the Oval Office, almost every visitor to the Oval Office, this is how they enter the Oval Office. Uh-huh. Do you know what he has hanging on the wall?
I do, but I'm going to let you tell everybody.
Well, this is how I predict this is going to end. What he has hanging there on the wall is the mugshot that was taken by the Georgia people to humiliate him.
Right.
And it is now a trophy that he has posted outside the White House.
Got his mugshot in the hallway leading into the Oval Office. That's brilliant.
It's like a trophy. And that's the way I predict this is going to end. I mean, the lawfare has not worked out well for them so far, man, and I don't think it's going to here. Some of the, like, birthright citizenship, that's a heavy lift. And they picked that fight, and that's going to have to go to the Supreme Court. Some of this other stuff, the across-the-board ban on transgender surgeries, we'll see. That case, I think, is pending in front of the Supreme Court right now, coming out of Tennessee. And so I don't think there's been a decision in that case yet. So some of those are, kind of maybe close questions. Some of them aren't. To me, the big one is rooting out this fraud. And the judge issued this very confusing order saying, you quit finding fraud. And everybody went crazy. And the judge said, well, I didn't say that. Well, yes, you did.
Yep.
And so he had to come back and clarify his order. And so they're still in there rooting out the fraud or maybe theft. What's the terms they use? Fraud, something else.
Waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Mm-hmm. And so the judge said, no, to the extent the statutes that y'all are operating, we're clever enough to fit yourself under. To the extent those statutes empower you to do that, you can still do it. So now, look, they're up 7-3, Matt, and we're only 5 minutes into the first quarter. And I like our coach a lot better than theirs. Coach Musk knows what he's doing.
I feel good about it. I feel real good about it. I feel good about going to some of these telephone calls, too. John is next up in Nashville with a question for Jay. John, you're on with Jay St. Clair on the Matt Murphy Show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, guys. Hey, Jay, I got a question for you.
Yes.
My son was arrested mistakenly. This actually happened within the last 24 hours for an incident that involved somebody with the same last name and another person with the same similar first name. And I think they got the names mixed up, and his name ended up on a warrant that he had no idea about.
Right.
I mean, and we just found out about this incident. It was at a relative's house. It had nothing to do with him. So we don't know what to do.
What jurisdiction? Who arrested him? Who arrested him?
Oh, there was a warrant put out.
No, sir. Was it the Metro? Metro Police?
It was Metro.
Well, go down to Metro Jail and talk to the people face to face and get it straight down. Just tell them it's a case of mistaken identity, but don't do it over the phone.
At the jail, we did that, but they got him out he's out on bond. He's got a court date.
Okay, well now you got to get a lawyer.
Okay,
you got to get a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
You don't have to, but
if they've got the wrong names, is that actionable against them?
No. Well, no, not unless they did it on purpose. Listen, I wouldn't worry about suing them right now. First thing I'd worry about is getting the charges dropped against your son. And then once that problem solved.
Because he wasn't involved.
Yeah.
So, it was a mistaken identity.
That's right. And no, unless they did it on purpose, which I highly doubt, you can't really sue the government for negligence.
John, I'm curious. I hesitate to ask, but I'm just curious. So, when y'all told the police that this was clearly a mistaken identity, what was their response?
Well, they didn't tell the police. They arrested him. They didn't tell him what it's for until he got to the jail.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Who bailed him out?
I went down there.
Okay. Did you tell them that?
Yeah, they didn't. They were like, that's something that the courts will deal with. Okay.
Well, I guess that's where we are then. So, I hope it works out. I mean, you heard the man. Jay says get a lawyer.
Yeah, I figured that. All right, thank you, guys.
All right, sorry about that. I mean, I guess that happens from time to time, Jay, that, they think they got the right guy and they got the wrong guy.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. I mean, mistakes happen.
But I mean, if your mindset is, that's probably a heavy lift. Like you say, I mean, you said it. I don't need to reiterate it, but you would probably have to demonstrate that they knew they were doing the wrong thing and they did it anyway, right?
No, I hear it a lot, man. People get sued, and the first thing they want to talk to me about is, what can I countersue them? And my answer every time to that is, look, let's win the lawsuit first.
Right.
and then we'll worry about the countersuit later.
Right.
Yeah, I think what's in your best interest is to get out of lawsuits. And if you countersue it, you're just only going to prolong it.
That's
so first thing you got to do is kill the nearest snake.
Mm-hmm.
And then worry about the other snake later.
Terry's in Clarksville with a question for Jay St. Clair. Terry, you're on.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Terry.
I have a simple question about a will. I'm getting conflicting information. Is a will prepared by a lawyer, does it carry more weight than a will, like if I get off of LegalZoom and have it notarized by a notary public? Does one carry more weight than the other?
No, sir. It's not about weight. It's about whether it complies with the law and whether it is clear. So, no, it's not about weight. It's about, does it follow the law? And it's possible for people who are not lawyers to write perfectly good wills. It is more likely that a lawyer would write a good will than someone that's not a lawyer. But non-lawyers, the answer to your question is no, it does not carry any more weight. But I will say this, it is more likely to be defective in some manner. Am I being clear, okay, Terry? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
Let me give you a perfect example. Someone that I know very well prepared a will for her mother. And off of LegalZoom, one of these online things, right? Well, that form did not require the witnesses' signatures to be notarized. And this was in Alabama. Well, in Alabama, that's a problem. A lawyer would not have done that. The signatures were, it's very technical little things like this, Terry. And so what happened, if those signatures had been notarized, then they were just gone right through, wouldn't have been any problem. But because this form that this person got off the internet did not have the signatures notarized, they had to go find those witnesses, Terry, bring them to court, and testify that that was in fact their signatures.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a question about whether it carries more weight. It's a question about whether it is properly drafted.
Okay.
Terry,
yeah, that answers my question. I sure do appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Terry. Thank you. Thank you much for the call. I want to get one more quickly in here. Jamie is in Cookeville. Question for Jay St. Clair, Jamie?
Yes, please. So I just found out that in October of 2016, someone took out a payday loan in my name.
Wow.
Now, they refused to give me any kind of verification on this loan, and they said that if I asked for demanded verification, that it would just go straight to court. And I said, well,
are they trying to get you to pay off the loan, Jamie?
Yes, $500. And I did not do this. I know better than that.
Right. And you've been in communication with the company, and you told them that you didn't take out the loan.
Yes.
Right. And then so what they're saying is, well, if you don't pay us, we're going to sue you.
That's what they said.
Here's what you can do, Jamie. You got a couple of choices here. One is just sit back, do nothing, let him sue you, and then you can go in and defend yourself in court. You could do that. But here's door number 2, Jamie, and I think I like this better. I would sue them. And you can do this yourself. You don't need a lawyer to do this. You can go to General Sessions Court. Because, see, they're not going to go to court over $500, Jamie. They're just trying to intimidate you into paying it. I'm just telling you, I know how these companies operate. But if you sue them, they're not going to want to fool with it. And then they'll drop it. And you can find all the forms online for doing that. And I think the good news is, I always say there's the 2 things you need to file a lawsuit, a crayon and $400. I don't think the filing fee in General Sessions Court is $400.
Right.
It's like about $150. So I would look into, so you can just sit back and wait for them to sue you. I don't think they will. I think they're going to write it off. They'll probably turn it over to a debt collector, and they'll keep hounding you. That's what they do, is just harass you to get you to pay them.
something you don't know. But if you want to go on offense and have a little fun, you can sue them. Hey, Jamie, you know how you fight fire?
With fire, yeah.
No,
okay.
With a hose.
With a hose.
With a hose.
Okay. Thank you.
That's on Andy Griffith.
Jamie,
that's on Andy Griffith.
I knew where you were going. You know how you fight fire? With fire. No, with a hose.
With a hose.
Jay, final question for you before we say goodbye. And I didn't get to many, but I apologize. We got caught up in calls. Question for Jay: will Kyle Busch win this year?
Wow, I'm not a very good prognosticator, but I'm just going to say it like this: I would not bet against Kyle Busch. When Kyle Busch is almost in the league of the really best naturally born race car drivers, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've heard Mark Martin talk about his natural driving ability. He's got the driving ability. It's a question of the equipment.
Right.
And frankly, a lot of times in cup racing now, it comes down to luck. It's a great question. You know, we broke his streak last year. I've forgotten, it'd been like 20 years in a row.
19 years or something, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I wouldn't bet. My answer is I wouldn't bet against.